The biggest lie we tell ourselves is that we don't have enough. Not enough time, money, connections, or opportunities. But here's the reality check that you need. You live in the most entrepreneurial country on the planet. People start from nothing and build empires every single day in the United States. We have access to capital, infrastructure, and business opportunities that most of the world can only dream of. The limitation isn't out there, it's in here in your thinking. This scarcity mindset is like wearing dark sunglasses and wondering why the world looks so dim. I'm about to help you take those sunglasses off and show you exactly how this thinking traps you in ways that you probably never realized. Most people think they're making smart money decisions, but they're actually programming themselves for poverty. Now, let me explain what I mean. Every day you make dozens of financial choices that seem logical on the surface. You buy the cheapest gas, hunt for the lowest prices, skip the investment opportunity because it feels risky, and put every spare dollar into a savings account, earning basically nothing. These decisions feel responsible, but here's the shocking truth. They're the exact choices keeping you broke. This is how scarcity thinking shows up in your everyday financial life. You see a course that could teach you a new skill for $500, but you immediately think that it's too expensive. You hear about someone investing in real estate or starting a business, and your first thought is about all the ways that it could go wrong. You get a tax refund, and instead of using it to build something, you sock it away in savings because that feels safer. Every single one of these choices trains your brain to think small and avoid opportunity. Here's what's really happening when you always choose the cheapest option. You're telling your subconscious mind that you don't have enough money to invest in quality or growth. When you avoid these investments because they seem risky, you're reinforcing the belief that you can't afford to lose any money. When you hoard money in low interest savings accounts, you're essentially choosing to lose money to inflation because you're scared of everything else. This creates a cycle where your actions prove to your brain that scarcity is real. The research on this is pretty eye-opening. Studies show that people who make fear-based financial decisions consistently underperform in wealth building over time. They save more but earn less. They avoid debt but also avoid the leverage that builds wealth. They focus so much on not losing money that they never make meaningful gains. After 20 years, the person who invested regularly in growth opportunities has built significantly more wealth than the person who played it safe with every decision. I know someone who perfectly illustrates this pattern. She's incredibly smart, works hard, and thinks she's being financially responsible. She spends hours researching to save $20 on a purchase. She refuses to invest in any training or education because it costs money and keeps everything in savings accounts because the stock market is risky. Meanwhile, she complains about being stuck in the same job for 5 years without a raise. She thinks she's being smart with money, but she's actually sabotaging her financial future by thinking small and avoiding any risk that could lead to growth. Compare this to someone with an abundance mindset making financial decisions. They buy quality items that last longer instead of cheap ones that they'll need to replace. They invest in their education and skills because they see it as buying future income. They take calculated risks on investments because they understand that avoiding all risk is actually the biggest risk. And they focus on increasing their earning potential instead of just cutting expenses. Over time, these different approaches create completely different financial realities. Here's where this gets really interesting. Your daily money mindset doesn't just affect your bank account. It's training your brain to see or miss opportunities everywhere. When you think scarcity and small financial decisions, you develop scarcity thinking patterns that show up in bigger areas of your life. You start seeing problems instead of solutions, risks instead of possibilities, and limitations instead of potential. Your brain gets really good at finding reasons why things won't work instead of figuring out how they could work. This mental programming goes way deeper than just money decisions. It affects how you process every piece of information that comes your way, especially when it comes to spotting opportunities. There are million-dollar opportunities happening around you every day, but your brain is literally filtering them out. You walk past them, scroll past them online, and dismiss them in conversations without even realizing it. While you're sitting there thinking that there are no good opportunities left, someone else is spotting the same chances you're missing and building something incredible from them. Here's what's actually happening in your brain when you operate from scarcity. Your mind creates tunnel vision where you focus so intensely on immediate problems and what you lack that you become blind to possibilities around you. It's like wearing blinders that only let you see straight ahead while blocking out everything else. This isn't just a metaphor, it's literally how your brain processes information when you're stuck in scarcity thinking. The uncomfortable truth is, while you're complaining about lack of opportunities, others are building empires from the exact same environment that you're living in. They're seeing the same job market, the same economy, the same social media platforms, and the same problems that need resolving. The difference isn't what's available to them versus you. The difference is what their brain allows them to notice and consider possible. Your brain acts like a filter system that determines what information gets through to your conscious awareness. When you operate from scarcity, this filter gets set to focus on threats, problems, and reasons why things won't work. Your survival-focused brain magnifies negative aspects of situations and dismisses positive possibilities because it's designed to keep you safe, not make you successful. This filtering happens automatically, which means you're not consciously choosing to ignore opportunities. Your brain is doing it for you. Let me give you a concrete example. Take the explosion of online content creation over the past few years. People with abundance mindsets saw platforms like TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram and thought about all the ways they could share their knowledge, build audiences, and create income streams. They saw problems they could solve and audiences they could serve. Meanwhile, people with scarcity mindsets looked at the same platforms and immediately focused on how saturated they were. They focused on how hard it would be to stand out and how much work it would take. The same opportunity, but completely different mental processing. Here's how to identify if you're doing this too. Pay attention to your first reaction when you hear about someone else's success or a new opportunity. Do you immediately think about why it won't work for you? Do you focus on the obstacles instead of the potential? Do you assume there's some hidden catch or that you're missing some crucial piece of information? These are all signs that your mental filter is set to scarcity mode. The same situation looks completely different depending on your mindset. When someone with scarcity thinking sees a successful business, they think about how much money it must have taken to start, how lucky the founder got, or how the market is probably too crowded now. When someone with abundance thinking sees the same business, they think about what problem it's solving, how they could solve a similar problem differently, or what they can learn from the approach. Here's the breakthrough insight. Opportunity recognition is a skill you can develop by changing your mental filter. Your brain is incredibly adaptable, and you can train it to spot possibilities instead of just problems. This happens by consciously challenging your automatic scarcity thoughts and deliberately looking for abundance evidence around you. When you start noticing how many people are successfully building businesses and solving problems, your brain begins to recognize these patterns as normal and achievable rather than rare and impossible. So the question is, what separates the people who make this shift from those who stay stuck in the same patterns forever? The difference between the 1% who break free and the 99% who stay stuck isn't talent. It's not luck or connections. It's simply the ability to see abundance where others see scarcity. Your brain can be trained to spot opportunities instead of obstacles, possibilities instead of problems. So here's your challenge. Identify one scarcity thought you have daily and consciously flip it to an abundance perspective for the next week. Ask yourself how you can do something instead of telling yourself you can't do something. When you catch yourself thinking there's not enough time, remind yourself that successful people have the same 24 hours. And when you think opportunities are limited, remember that new ones get created every single day. Start a 5-minute daily practice of listing opportunities you've overlooked. This simple habit rewires attention from scarcity to abundance. You already have what it takes. Train your mind with one flipped thought each day.